Hello everyone, Needs More Drums here, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, very nice to meet you, and you have picked a perfect time to join. New patches, new content, City Skylines 2 is looking more and more promising, and I think it's about time to shake off the dust and give it another try. So with that being said, let's start something new, and welcome to City Skylines 2. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to City Skylines 2. So as you may or may not know, this is not the first series that I've done in this game, but as is to be expected, there were some growing pains with the game. You know, it wasn't all polished as I think a lot of people would have liked. There were a lot of bugs, but since then, a lot of those bugs have been resolved. You know, it's still a work in progress, but we have some mods, we have some better gameplay, we have some new assets as well. There was just a detailing patch that was released, which was a complete surprise to me. So I thought, you know, it's about time to maybe give the game another chance. And I was kind of waiting for a moment where everything would be a little bit more stable. And I feel like that moment has finally come. So let's go ahead and jump into it. This map is called Volcoria. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It is a modded map. It's a Paradox. Well, I guess, you know, it's from Paradox Mods. So I am running a couple of mods, and I will throw those mods up on the screen now. Nothing truly game changing, more just quality of life stuff like Move It, Anarchy. You know, they built the tree controller basically into the base game, so I don't need that. But yeah, just a few things to make building a little bit more easier and just, you know, make some aesthetic improvements, but nothing like, you know, population rebalance or anything like that. Nothing that's going to change the way that the game functions, because I don't really know how the game functions. I haven't really played it enough to really get that far and to really see, you know, test the limits of the game and test the performance of the game. So I'm really excited to actually be able to do that. So first things first, we have our starting tile here, and I'll actually go ahead and play the simulation because why not? But one thing that I like to do with my cities is to make them functional. And so this video is going to be not so much a tutorial, but more of just kind of an approach to how I like to start my cities. And, you know, you might learn a thing or two, so feel free to stick around, of course. I'd greatly appreciate that. But, you know, we're going to talk about kind of some initial road layouts, the way that I go about zoning, the way I go about setting up infrastructure. And I feel like, you know, hopefully we can get off to a good start financially with some of these, you know, with some of these tactics. They worked in City Skylines 1. Hopefully they'll work in City Skylines 2. I know that the economy got a big fix, so I'm not really used to that yet. But so let's go ahead and just get started. So the first thing that I need to do is obviously establish some sort of road infrastructure. And so we have this nice highway that cuts through here. Typically, I think that starting with highways is a little bit weird because, you know, a city doesn't really grow organically just off of like a T intersection like this. Usually there's some, you know, dirt roads, and those dirt roads get paved, and then the city kind of grows organically. So I guess I don't prefer this, but we're going to work with it and see what we can do. So the first thing that I want to do is actually use the natural landscape to our advantage. So this is something that I feel like a lot of people don't ever do. They typically just, you know, will build out, like delete all these trees and say, oh, look, a flat surface, and build out a huge grid. And then it's like, bam, look, you have a city. I don't really want to do that. In this series, I really want to take advantage of the cool landscape of this map. And so, like, I mean, just look at this map. I actually quite like it. I quite like how if you're in the middle of the city here, whichever direction you look, it looks like, you know, there's a nice view. It doesn't look like it just abruptly ends anywhere. I like the amount of trees in this map. I like the amount of mountains in this map. I know some of them look maybe a little bit strange, like this one, but honestly, I don't think it looks that bad. I think it looks very reminiscent of some places in real life, you know, maybe more akin to Eastern Asia, like Thailand and stuff. You know, they have a lot of cities that are kind of built in between and around these very, very just drastic terrain changes and these, you know, these mountain changes and these steep mountainsides and everything. So it's definitely not unrealistic by any means, and it's definitely one of the better maps that I've seen so far, and I'm really excited to be able to use it. But yeah, so roads. So first thing that I want to do is I think I'm going to keep this roundabout here, and I'm going to keep this main road because I feel like we're actually going to use this somehow. Actually, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to actually delete this main road. And there's a few reasons for this. So one, I feel like it's kind of unrealistic to just start with an avenue right in the middle of your city when you really don't have any development going on yet. And two, you know, I kind of want to I want to develop kind of our own infrastructure and just build the city out that way. So one thing that I want to do is make a road to a power plant. And so we have this power connection here, and I want to put the power plant out this way. One thing that's unfortunate is that we don't have trains yet. So what we're going to do for now, I know there's a mod where I could get trains, but I kind of don't want to do that. I just want to play the game. I want to naturally progress through the game. So we're just going to work with this for now. But one thing that we can do is kind of imagine and maybe drag out some dirt roads, kind of to imagine where the tracks are going to go, so that later down the line, we can actually just build the tracks in those pathways that we've already kind of laid out. But I think knowing where our train lines are going to go is a very, very important step in developing the city, because you look back in history, and a lot of cities are built on train lines. And around train lines, and based off of, you know, where the cargo terminals are and where the passenger terminals are. It's a really, really big, important part of city development. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave this train line for now, but we're going to come back to that very shortly. And we're just going to drag out some first roads. So the first roads that I want to drag out are going to be kind of out this way. If I can, there we go. There's our roundabout. So we're just going to drag a road straight out this way. And then I kind of want to do something a little bit cool here. So instead of just going right through these trees, I actually want to go around this patch of trees. And I'll explain why a little bit later. I spent some time kind of looking at this map and, you know, figuring out just where I want to go, so I don't come into this video just like not having any sort of idea of what I'm doing. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to drag this road out this way. And we're eventually going to connect this up to this highway here. So for now, we'll just leave this kind of a dead end road. But another thing that I want to focus on in this build is making sure that all of the roads lead to somewhere. You get in this habit when you build sometimes of just dragging out roads, you know, willy-nilly, and you have no idea where they're going. But in this build, I want to make sure that roads have a purpose. And so this one is going to presumably be maybe like an old state road, you know, an original road that kind of shaped the landscape, and then this highway was built after the fact. So this will be an important road for us later to connect up to this highway. But for now, we're just going to leave it like this. And one thing that we're going to do is figure out where we're going to place our power plant. So unfortunately, we don't have very good wind here. We'd only be able to get about, you know, 2/3 or, you know, half production or maximum productivity and power production out of these windmills. So we're going to actually go for the coal power plant. And I know that coal power is not the best, but it's only temporary. So I want to put this power plant somewhere over here, and we can kind of have, you know, a little bit of an industrial area over here, and I'll explain why in a minute. But let's just drag out this road here, and this will be kind of the start of some of our infrastructure here. Right, and so I know that is a big expense for us, so we might end up decreasing the budget for this, since we don't, well, I guess we don't really need to, because we can actually trade this electricity, which is a cool new mechanic in the game. We can export this electricity and actually, you know, get rid of our surplus and turn a little bit of a profit. So that's awesome. So we're going to leave that like that for now. And yes, I know we don't have any city services, so I'm actually going to pause the game for now. But yeah, so moving on, focusing on where we actually want to put parts of the city. So what I'm imagining is eventually, as we expand, this is going to become a pretty big industrial area with like a port over here. And so I want to have a little bit of an industrial area up here by the coal power plant, which, since that'll be kind of a reasonable place to put it. And I'm also thinking of having one kind of over this way eventually. Another waterway access, you know, we can have maybe a smaller port or 2 ports, or maybe this will become the port. I don't know yet, but I think, you know, having both of these areas as kind of designated industrial areas will make a lot of sense, being so close to the water. And you realize that at one point Maybe we'll phase that industry out eventually, but for now I think it's a good place to kind of start. And in terms of the actual city, so what I want to do is drag, we're going to have a road that kind of snakes along the coastline here, and we'll connect to this other part of the highway, and then we'll kind of snake around and probably connect somewhere, you know, to the, obviously to the port, and then maybe to the highway in some way a little bit later. But having these initial roads that kind of go along the coast, it makes a lot of sense, because you figure, like, if you got a harbor or some kind of cargo station, you know, the trucks would be able to get around very quickly, and that road will eventually probably be some sort of highway in the future. But for now, what we could do is actually do something a little bit different, a little bit nifty. We could just kind of drag out some one-way roads and make sort of like a main avenue, but a little bit less, you know, it's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing in my opinion than doing just like a big avenue with a median or something like that. So we're gonna follow the line of this highway here like that. I like where that's going. Probably put some trees in the middle or something, you know, a little bit later. For now, we'll just upgrade this, bring it that way. And there we go. Now we have this nice little avenue, little highway, a little bit nicer looking in my opinion. And based off of this avenue, I want to find a place to put like a town square. So I'd like kind of in a small town, you know, we'll have some additional one-way roads, maybe a little bit of a kind of a square about, I guess if you call it, and then some commercial zones and everything like that. So let's just go ahead and kind of plan some of that out, and I'll talk to you guys in a second. All right, and so this is what we have so far. So I'm kind of liking the layout of the city so far, going for some smaller city blocks, kind of in the downtown area here. We have a little alleyway that cuts through, and so there is this mod. It's the zoning mode options mod, and I still got to look into a little bit how it works. But if it seems like it kind of works similar to the added base game functionality in Cities Skylines 1 that allowed you to choose the side of the road that the zoning is on. The one thing that I can't seem to figure out though is if you can actually upgrade the zoning on existing roads without having to delete them and replace them down. I was struggling with that a little bit in the quick time lapse, as you may have seen. So we'll experiment with that a little bit more later on. But zoning direction is a huge, it's a little thing, but it makes a big difference when all your buildings are facing like the same way. So if I can go through and kind of, you know, decide on which way I want my buildings to face, it'll look pretty good. And I can work around that a little bit as it is right now. But like this right here, you know, like I don't want this building to probably have much zoning on it. I'd like it to be more along this main road here. But yeah, so just explaining the road network. So I have this avenue coming through here. I figured I'd do something a little bit funky here and maybe leave room for like a cool little park or something. And so instead of just dragging the one way all the way down to do like some weird double roundabout thing, I figured this would be a cool thing to build. And then this space here, I figured this is going to be a passenger train station at some point. So I wanted to leave a little gap here, and we'll put a station down kind of right along the coast. As the city expands, you know, this will probably turn into a big focal point of the city, probably like a big, you know, riverside or whatever, bayside, whatever you want to call this, like a big park. So that'll be cool a little bit later on. And then I wanted to connect up to this main road here that I was talking about earlier, kind of following like a main road that'll connect over to this highway. You know, we'll have something like this, and then this will obviously be a major road over time, and we'll probably upgrade this as needed in the future. And then, you know, I had some ideas for industry actually. So what I want to do is, before we start zoning out some residential and stuff. Oh, and by the way, I put this groundwater pumping station here. We have this massive groundwater reservoir, which is a really cool feature of the map. It kind of, you know, it kind of makes you just like not have to worry about it, which I kind of like, to be honest. Ooh, but I do need to put down a sewer outlet, and I hate these. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I think they're super unrealistic, and yeah, we're definitely going to invest in the water treatment plant as soon as we can. But for now, we'll put this down. We'll put it down like, I don't know, somewhere like right here, just somewhere kind of goofy, out of the out of sight, out of mind. We'll just do that for now. Actually, you know what? No, because we're going to drag out a little bit of a road that'll kind of snake its way out here. There we go. That is connected. And so now we can actually start zoning out some areas. So the one thing that I actually want to zone first is industry. And the reason I want to do that is because I kind of had some specialized industry in mind. So I want to make some farmland. I want to make actually some forestry as well, because we have this little pocket of trees here. So I thought it would be cool, instead of just building right over these, it's pretty dense. So I figured, why not build a little bit of something like this. Yeah, so over time, these trees should start to kind of disappear, but we'll actually make use of them rather than just, you know, deleting them and not reaping any kind of benefits. But yeah, and then the second thing I want to do is actually add some farming. And so we have an abundance of fertile land in this map, which I love. And I do have this resource painter just in case, but I haven't used it yet. This is exactly how the map is, because I feel like they kind of don't put enough resources in the base game for you to actually use, you know, functionally. So I do like to use mods like this, you know, where you can just kind of add some resources, because you figure like a lot of the land is going to be fertile, right? If you're going to be starting some farmland, I mean, obviously your city, like agriculture is the backbone of any city. And, you know, hence why I love Farming Simulator, and also post a lot of Farming Simulator videos as well. But that's beside the point. You know, the point is, I do like to promote agriculture in the cities. I think it's an important part of development and self-sustainability. So we're going to see a little bit of that in these cities here. So let's actually drag a little bit of a dirt road like so. Actually build the farm off of this, kind of like this. Also a little bit random, you know, not quite as pretty as, like, you know, a nice gridded layout like you'd see in America. But I don't really care. I kind kind of like building like this sometimes, doing something a little bit different. There we go. So we got some farmland there. I'll actually put one more. I'll put one more over here and we'll do some livestock for a change. There we go. That is looking fantastic. Got a nice little natural resources to begin the city. And in terms of industry, where am I going to put some industry? I am actually going to put some over here by this power plant. I feel like that makes sense to have a little bit of, you know, some light industry kind of around here. We can have just a couple of smaller buildings. Nothing crazy. Hopefully that'll be enough to start for now. And with the specialized industry too, it shouldn't be too bad. So now let's go ahead, before we hit play, let's go ahead and zone out some other zones. So for residential, most of this is going to be residential around this area. We're going to have, you know, some commercial, eventually some mixed use, probably down here in these areas. But for now, our commercial zones are going to be probably just around here. We'll actually just go ahead and fill these in, just kind of see what buildings come, because I know these will be upgraded in the future anyway, so no need to worry too much about the layout of those. But for residential though, I'd like to make these kind of parallel with the terrain. So we have this dip here, we have this big kind of valley, and so I don't want to make them this way. I want to make them going this way, kind of like up and down here. So what I'm going to do is actually zone these out like so. Let's do like some small zones like this. Actually, these might be commercial as well, so I'm gonna leave that like that for now. And then as these grow, we'll just kind of fill in some of the gaps. So we'll just kind of zone as we go here. So let's just go ahead and press play, see what happens. Yeah, and so you can kind of see the issue that I was running into here with some of these zones. So like we have, you know, these facing this direction, we have these facing this direction, and I didn't really want that. So I'm going to figure out a better way to kind of go about this and see if I can, you know, if I have to delete these roads and replace and remove the zoning and then replace them down. We'll see what happens. But for now, I think, you know, this is just, it's fine. This part of the city is probably going to change pretty significantly anyway as we expand it out in the future. But yeah, these hills are also not the easiest to work with. We have some pretty steep terrain changes, and I know that I could probably just use like move it to bring, you know, some of this down a little bit to make these weird slopes a little bit less drastic, which is why I like mods like Move It. You know, it's simple, doesn't really do too much in terms of gameplay, but it helps with, you know, weird things like that. Yeah, at the very least, we'll be able to kind of, you know, put some trees around here to look kind of nice. And it looks like there's a little bit of a weird issue with Move It and Anarchy props, it looks like. Not surprised. We can change that though, that's fine. Not really sure what that's about, but this is why, you know, mods are still a work in progress, so we're trying our best here. But yeah, interestingly enough, we have not made a dent in the demand, and there we go. We got our tiny village milestone, so we can go take a look at what we might want. I think I want to get to highways and I want to get to trains really fast, but we do need to wait for public transport. We need to wait till milestone 4. Roundabouts we don't really need. Advanced road services, I'm liking that. Ooh, actually though, I do want to save it for the water treatment plant. I think we'll wait a little bit for that. This is nice because we can actually put trees along our roads. And I do want to get to highways too, so we can start making some of these connections, you know, in the near future. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, let's just go ahead and keep expanding the city a little bit. We do need to start focusing on some city services. Our money is not looking, oh my gosh, our money is looking awful. Service upkeeps. How much are we spending on things? I feel like we don't need this at all, because probably have a pretty low demand for that right now. Let's go check. Oh, it's overloaded, so we do need a little bit more. I wish it was kind of like City Skylines 1, where there was a nice little bar, you know, a little slider that kind of showed you how much it was actually being used. There we go, 75%. Very nice. Excellent. I think the sewage outlet should be fine. 25%, even better. Excellent. Okay, cool. So we got that going on. So now let's just keep going ahead and expanding out some more residential. And I'm guessing we could fill most of this area, and then even expand out some commercial as well. So see what happens. Talk to you guys in a bit. All right, so I'm kind of liking the way that this looks for now. We have a nice sized residential development growing, a nice little commercial sector as well, kind of along this main road. Some cool road layouts and a little bit of industry as well. So they all need workers. So we definitely are good on industry demand and stuff for now. I think priority is going to be to keep expanding the residential zones, and we should fill up this tile pretty quick, I'd imagine. You know, it looks like we already made a pretty solid dent in the grand scheme of things. So in the next episode, we'll just keep on expanding, probably focus on some city services, some healthcare, some garbage collection. We need those, obviously, and we're still hemorrhaging money. And before I end the episode, actually, let's bump up the taxes just a little bit and see if we can squeeze some extra dollars out. But yeah, the city services are really getting us. I could put a little bit less of a road budget maybe, but it seems like this, the electricity is really not ideal. And I wonder if I decrease the budget, what's going to be the hit in the export cost? Maybe it'll outweigh it, but I kind of feel like it won't. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. At the very least, we just need to expand the city a little bit more, just get some more taxes, coming in. So I think that may have helped a little bit, but overall, not the best. So we'll keep an eye on that. It does look like we're at 100%, yeah, because we're exporting. That makes sense. But yeah, we'll get there eventually. But for the meantime, hope you guys all have a great week. I am excited to be back in the game, and we're going to keep this going in addition to the Roginski series. We're just going to keep, kind of doing both simultaneously, one in one game, one in the other. So I will talk to you guys in the next episode, and I'm looking forward to beginning a new city in a new game. Have a great week. I will see you guys later. Peace out.